Hello, hello, and welcome to another edition of Grown Folks Business. So glad to see some old familiar faces. I think we missed the last couple weeks with Greg and Julia because they've been doing stuff and we had a point of time off. So glad to see that you guys made it back. And it's never too late or it's never too soon to share time with you guys. So glad to see you. There was a must return topic for some people that participated last week. It actually encouraged a part two. So you guys feel free to chime in where you may. I have more clips because we're never in short supply of celebrities or famous people and the things that they get attention for and so on and so forth. Last week's topic, which today will be a continuation of that discussion, was why does fame and fortune equal worth and validation? We had a really, really good conversation last week that, I don't think I got to ask not one of the questions that I had written out. So we decided to continue that conversation and put the topic I had slated for this week aside, which I think we'll have a good time with that one when that gets to come up too. So I'll keep that as a special gift for next week or the week after, whenever we are next in the space. But again, why does fame and fortune equal worth and validation was the topic. I think we went so many different places and the variances of opinions. Jay's laughing right now because it was that type of environment and it's a good one. It's healthy to engage in dialogue and trying to find common ground or not. Just trying to make sure that you're clear in your point of perspective, however that works. But we're in a safe space to do so, and it was high level enjoyment for me to have the banter and the back and forth. And I know last week's star in our conversation was Cardi B and Joe Biden's back and forth and what we made of that. So this week I have a couple of other clips, more recent news, and more recent sensationalization, so to speak, some controversial stuff. Brittany Griner, the basketball player, WNBA basketball player who's been detained in Russia. I feel like we touched on that last week to an extent. I'm going to play the clip of her coach making what I think is a terrible analogy and saying that if it was LeBron, he would be home by now. I can't accept that. And there's a whole lot of other things that work inside of that. And it turns more into posturing and identity politics and symbolic gesturing than it does into actually addressing the situation at hand. Which is very unfortunate, but it does not need to be blown out of proportion. I don't think it was worthy of, I will say, some mendacious statements. And more recently, Macy Gray has made comments concerning what it is to be a woman via her purview of being one, and it was taken in a way that was insulting by the LGBTQ community. But I have a response from a member of that community that did not necessarily resign to saying that made all the sense in the world. Yet, Macy Gray has apologized full-throatedly, and I have that clip also. Again, keep in mind what we're discussing, but we take it where we take it and paint outside the lines, and I might get to my questions or I might just have a whole nother discussion, and we have to do part 3. Jay, I see you laughing. So why does fame and fortune equal worth and validation? Lisa, Bob, Jay, Greg, and Julia, thanks for being here. I'm going to start off with the clips, and we'll come back to the other side because there's a couple of them, and I don't want to not have that wonderful setup go to waste. So here are the clips.
Brittany Griner's coach says the star's detention isn't getting as much attention as it should. She says if LeBron James, for example, were held abroad, it would be treated much differently.
If it was LeBron, he'd be home, right? Yeah, it does. It's a statement about the value of women. It's a statement about the value of a Black person. It's a statement about the value of a gay person. All of those things, and we know it. And so that's what hurts a little more.
All right, let's talk about that with Carrie Champion, journalist and host of Naked with Carrie Champion. Carrie, it's tough to hear her say that. You think she's right?
Oh, no, she's absolutely correct. I took, in her defense as well, I was very proud of her coach, the Mercury's head coach, for saying that, because it's a very real thing. And it's time that we start saying the quiet part out loud. I think that Brittany's letter that she wrote to President Biden yesterday, that was delivered to him from my understanding and that he read, was very clear. And there were excerpts from that letter where she described what she felt she would have to experience, meaning never leaving this Russian prison. And I think that we should think about that. She's someone's daughter. The humanity part of this is very disturbing. And Brianna, you see this because we don't hear enough about it. I think that we in the media are doing our best to get the word out, but there is this apathy towards Brittany Griner, which is so disturbing if you think about what could potentially happen to her. From my understanding, less than 1% of people who were tried in Russia actually get acquitted. So that means there doesn't seem to be any other option but some sort of jail time for her. And if that is the case, I want us to put all eyes on her. This is imperative. She is our sister. She is someone's daughter. She is someone's wife. She has a family, and we're not looking at it that way.
I think compounding this too, Carrie, is that initially, and you'll hear this from many people whose family members are detained abroad, they feel like they have to be quiet because they're told, be quiet. This is very sensitive. You don't want to jeopardize the release. But eventually they learn they have to make some noise. And I think we're really to that point. We're seeing Sherelle make a lot of noise. And she's sort of opening the door, perhaps, for other people too. What's the responsibility of athletes, of other people of note, to make some noise?
Look, if she's not free, we are not free, right? So it's everyone's responsibility. And you're right about what her wife is doing. And as a collective, there was this messaging that we heard throughout the league and that we've heard inside of our studios, if you will. Let's not talk about it. Let's not put too much attention on it. That messaging, to me, has to be turned around. That needs to be flipped upside down because that's the only thing that will bring her home. I do believe the coach was absolutely correct in saying if this was LeBron, if this was whomever, but we can't play the if game right now. Time is running out. And so what we need to do, much like the wife is doing, she's fed up. She's tired of playing the quiet game. And we're saying the uncomfortable parts out loud. She is Black. She is a woman. She is a lesbian. Do we care about her? And it seems like we don't. If this letter did not hit, President Biden in his heart and make him feel like he needed to rush to action, I don't know what else we can do other than scream very loudly. I've been in contact with NBA players who have done all that they can possibly do to get the word out because they are friends with her. Star NBA players are friends with Brittany Griner, and they're wearing their shirts. They talk about it during the press conferences. Other athletes are doing it. I was just on another show doing it. We are doing our best in terms of being vocal, but now we need a call to action, and that is to obviously contact your local congressperson. But we're now going to the president, as did Brittany Griner, and say we need help. And quite frankly, I thank you for having the time to talk about this story because we have to put the attention on her as if she was our own because she is our own.
What a woman is, what would you say?
Let's say a human being with boobs. You just start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just
And
says
a
a human
vagina.
adult female,
Yeah.
right?
No, a lot of people. Yeah, see, that's a little getting the whole piece thing. That's gonna.
And I'm not sure why, really. It's a bit like this whole issue of transgenders in sport. I support all trans rights to fairness and equality.
Me too.
But not where you have people born to obvious physical superior bodies,
Me too.
transitioning and then thrashing the women at their sport.
I totally agree. And I will say this, and everybody's gonna hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
Right.
Sorry.
You feel that?
I know that for a fact. Like, if you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want. But that doesn't make you a woman. It's going to call you a her, and just because you got a surgery.
Because people do feel that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is comedian Flame Monroe. I am a transgender woman or person, however you describe it, and this message is directly for Macy Gray. Macy Gray, I want to tell you out the words of my mouth from my portion of the LGBTQIA plus community that I wholeheartedly support you and thank you for seeing the real world for what it is. I do not believe that you are transphobic or homophobic or any other kind of phobic. I believe that you know science and biology, because here are the three things. Gender is a fact, identity is how you feel, and sexuality is your desire. And you are absolutely right, because until you have the heart and mind of a woman, I don't believe that you could ever possibly be a biological woman. Trans women are trans women. Trans men are trans men. Women are women and men are men. It is as simple as that. There shouldn't be any argument about this, because here...
Trans women Flame Monroe.
With Grammy-winning singer Macy Gray. She came onto the music scene more than 2 decades ago, and now Macy's getting ready to drop her latest album. It is called The Reset. She is going to be performing one of the songs off that album in just a few minutes. Macy, it's good to see you. I've actually felt like I've seen a lot of you in the past few days recently.
Yeah.
You were on the Piers Morgan show, and there was a question about trans women. And this was what you said in part. As a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman. If you want me to call you a her, I will, because that's what you want, but that doesn't make you a woman. Just because I call you a her, just because you've got a surgery, you can call yourself whatever you want. There was a wave of backlash that came as a result. Just tell me where you are right now on that statement.
Well, I never, of course, meant to hurt anybody with what I said. I'm actually a huge... I think it takes a lot of courage to be yourself, to go out in the world and be honest about who you are. And so I think anyone who is in the LGBT community is a hero and sets an example for all of us with that, you know. So I said some things that didn't go over well, but my intention was never to hurt anybody. I feel bad that I did hurt some people, and I think it's you know, just about education. It's about conversation and us getting to a point where we understand each other, and that only happens with, you know, I've learned a lot through this, so I think that was one of the reasons it might have happened. It was a huge learning experience for me, and I just have compassion for you know what I think you can, like I said in there, you can call yourself what, like you whoever you believe you are, and no one can dictate that for you or take that away from you, you know.
I think life is an education process. The more you sit with people, the more you talk to people, it changes your perspective. So has your perspective changed, do you feel?
I've learned so much, and I think you know, being a woman is a vibe, and it's something I'm very proud of, and it's very precious to me, and I think that if you, in your heart, feel that that's what you are, then that's what you are, regardless of what anybody says or thinks. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, but yeah, I've learned a lot, absolutely, and I'm glad I did.
Well,
now I know.
Well, thank you for clearing that up, because I think people got confused, and people sometimes you realize that through education you feel differently about things. This is all coming.
All right, so, and don't confuse things. I did not play that clip to have a debate or a big unpacking, a conversation about LGBTQ community oriented things. The topic of the show is concerning why fame and fortune equals worth and validation. To get right to the Macy Gray observations, I didn't let the clip finish playing because you know what she went into talking about? Her new album coming out. There's something at stake for her to have an opinion that is against what may be perceived as the popular one. There's also a squirming that she was forced to do on that chair for being a human being and having an idea, a thought about things as they have been presented for such a long period of time. But believe it or not, in my opinion, a lot of her contriteness is based on the fact that she's got to make a living. Hence, why I question so much ideas around fame and fortune and celebrity, validating one's perspective, worth, and all of that type of stuff, because they're people trying to make the best way they can, just like anyone else, yet they have this great platform and this high level of influence. That means in some ways they're compromised. As far as the first clip concerning Brittany Griner, I thought the coach's comments and observations were way out of line and out of pocket in terms of incorporating anyone, let alone LeBron James, who, from what I understand, has never been arrested before. I know Brittany Griner has some past issues with domestic violence or something, but that's not neither here nor there. The charge was having cannabis oil in another country that does not allow for it. And from what I found out, I think today she pleaded guilty. It's an unfortunate situation, but you don't. How do you reach for a black man and throw him in the mix of some special treatment he would have received had it been him? I'm like, where is this coming from? But you have a coach who just thought that was the thing and stood on it. And then you have someone like Carrie Champion following her up. Yeah, she's absolutely right. That's absolutely, yeah, that's it. That's the case. Let's say it, put a name on it. So where's the balance in that presentation? And where is anybody, any rational person, to at minimum try to contextualize the situation so that we don't end up in a place of sensationalized news or sensationalized coverage? Have a rational conversation about the matter, because it was unfortunate. And yeah, their laws are not our laws. So, she ended up in a bad situation. But we took that whole Brittany Griner unfortunate situation and just painted all outside the lines in the media. And I have issues with that. But again, apparently there was a understanding by some, even though in one breath Carrie Champion is saying we're not saying enough and nobody's talking about it. In another breath, she's saying NBA players are talking about it. I'm talking about it. Everybody. So that part was kind of confusing. But again, fame and fortune provide some worth and validation for Brittany Griner. Who else is over there that can't come home right now that may have been doing something else? Who's here that we need to be focused on? I take this conversation outside the lines. We have a horrible climate in our country concerning police brutality, concerning economic disparity. Where are the celebrities and where are the fame and fortune people to talk about those issues specifically? That's the rub with me. Where are we at in terms of making ourselves better as human beings where we dwell, instead of taking people and elevating them in stature and importance and saying, well, hey, they said this, so we got to pay some attention. Lastly, I was seeing, I think it was Lizzo at the BET Awards pledged $1 million to Planned Parenthood and some other things of that nature. Somebody pledged $2 million, I believe. Where is that capital in terms of getting the representation in place that allows for something to be codified as law, as opposed to countering it by supporting an organization that may not be allowed to function given the climate we're in terms of politics? There's some kind of psychosis that doesn't make sense in these situations and arguments. And celebrity is a dangerous drug. It's got to be, because you rationalize in some weird places. I'm going to shut up now. I want to let you guys first and foremost give your greetings, because it's always good to see you, and we can pick up where we left off last week. I still have some questions, but I'll start with Lisa, Greg, and Julia. I hope you feel caught up enough to make some comments and observations, but it was a really robust conversation, and don't feel obligated to do anything you're not comfortable doing. But it's just, we're just here to talk about this stuff, and I want to better understand it. Maybe I'll be knocked out of my socks tonight. Lisa, you start us off. Say what you want to say, and if you want a question, I'll give you one. But otherwise, I know you got some thoughts.
I love your questions, but for me, as I marinate on that question, it goes back to initially that we don't value ourselves. And I think that is so much easier to put value on things that look glamorous or look glittery and golden when we don't feel like we're worthy because we don't have some tangible attainments. So then, if we don't value ourselves and we put another entity that is glitz and glam as a higher authority just because they have a larger platform, then yes, what they say goes, and it must mean so much more. So to me, it goes to a chicken and an egg theory. So, do we place value on ourselves first, or do we devalue other entities just because of the place and space they are? We don't have this worldwide platform. I have compassion for any person that suffers, but in the same vein, when you put yourself in a certain situation, right? And I think the old adage is ignorance is no excuse of the law, right? Um, so when we put ourselves in certain situations, then we have to deal with those consequences. But to your point about the platform giving people more credibility and credence as that's what they say goes and it means so much more, I think, because that's where we're putting our value in people that have tangible attainments versus inwardly.
Yeah, I agree that we're putting it there because that's what's being dictated to us to do. It's setting these moments in what we view and take in. It's crystallizing, hey, this is what you should focus on. No, don't worry about the fact that she may have been having some drugs in the country farm. No, she's a black woman, she's lesbian, and those are the things that matter more so than any other thing that could have taken place in this scenario. I was talking to a guy, and we were talking about a situation, and he said, "Well, she over there in Russia. If she wasn't gay, she'd be home by now." I'm like, "How can you say that? There's no way that makes sense to me because I'm certain that there were other gay WNBA players over there with her or basketball players over there with her. They made it home. If they let her in, they would have let her out. Don't get me wrong. We know that there's some politicalization and there's definitely some back to the Cold War type moments between us and the Soviet Union, so or Russia. So if that's the case, then yeah, you're a good get for them. Maybe they can do a prison swap, and that's where they're at now in the conversation. But we can't keep conflating things. It's not healthy in my mind. It's really not healthy because people just latch on to something and they feel like, yeah, this is the reason because they said it was. Use your critical thinking skills. Jay, seems like you got something you want to say.
No, I just realized that it's so many different things that's going on in each situation. It's like, for me, it's like sensation overload. Because here are a couple of things. What things are actually true? Nothing that anybody is saying is a complete lie. We, even ourselves, are guilty of qualifying the voice of like who is coming from. And one of the things that I was thinking about, even from our last conversation, you and Lisa are in this arena. I operate on the other side of it, where how I always look at it, I'm going to always look at it that way, and that may never change. Couple of things that are true. Women are treated differently across the world. Black women are treated differently across the world. One thing that I've known is true in America when it comes to being Black, because so many evils have happened to us, we tend to try to rationalize that evil to make it make sense. So when something does happen, we usually are the first to come up with a reason. Well, what about this? What about this? What about this? No, she's a Black woman. And Black women are mistreated. And she's a tall Black woman. And Black women are the only gender where something is taken away every single time they do something. If you're too tall, you're less of a woman. If you're too aggressive, you're less of a woman. I mean, the list goes on and on that they have to deal with. And you do have a big old Black lesbian woman over there. Now, add substance on top of that. Now you got a reason to mistreat her. And the difference is not LeBron, but what he represents. The NBA is treated different than the WNBA. We know that. The women do not get the credit that they deserve. So that's a whole nother thing. So there are differences where women are treated differently than men. So just like we can't say that's the reason, we cannot say that's the reason too. And I think that we miss that part of it. So when we take a strong stance, if we find ourselves being able to take a strong stance on the East and the West of it, then there's some truth we need to uncover. And I think that's the part that people are missing. And that's the part people do. Is like, if I'm taking one extreme over the other, I'm not really any benefit. But what I can say is it's too many things to unpack there. So to make a blanket statement of saying, is she there for A, B, C, or D? We can never say that. We can look at the history and say, well, a lot of people confuse Russia with the Soviet Union. It was just in 91 that they broke off, and them people still living, and the way that they look at stuff is pretty much the same, because we got people that slavery was supposed to have ended, and people still hold that mindset. So how do we not act like these things don't happen and they don't exist when all of these things we contend with on a day-to-day basis? Now, as far as the fame of what you said, I believe if you work hard for something, whatever benefits you get for working hard from it, I can't get mad at that. People tend to discredit people because of what they are. And I go to this all the time. I'm an actor. What if somebody tries to discredit me? And I have found, since I started my nonprofit, I have to say my credentials more now than the 19 years I was in higher ed, and I was an exec for 12 years and never had to put my credentials on anything. But now I have to tell people constantly, no, I'm qualified to talk about this, because it's something that we go through, and I see the difference. And I will say, when I had a big white organization backing me, it's different. I was treated different. But when Jay represented Love is a Parable, I face more challenges now than I've ever faced in my 19 years of working professionally.
Man, always enjoy the comments and observations you make. I'm going to lean more towards what your shirt says, being an indicator of your ability to, yeah, because the truth is what the truth is, my brother. And you know, we can't paint outside those lines with things that don't necessarily apply to the situation, because I'm fairly certain that's not the first time she's been to Mother Russia. You know what I mean? So those things have to be quantified. I get what you're saying, though. And I do, when you personalize it, I get it even more. That makes way more sense on this level. But yeah, that you know, they looking for a reason, and you're right. She has some that are just totally visible, and yeah, that's one we can do some things too. But she also is in a profession that's reflective of her composition, and that's the reason why she's over there. And yeah, you can't have what they don't like. That's the country's rules. And yeah, I hate to say it, and you know, I might take some punches to the face if somebody ever sees me, but the NBA exists on a whole nother financial realm than the WNBA, and without the NBA, the WNBA couldn't exist. That's just a truth in this moment we live in. And maybe one day women's basketball will leapfrog men's, but right now that's not the case. That's just the fact. You know, women's college, I was talking about this earlier, women's college basketball is a lot more popular than the WNBA. But yeah, the shirt, that I don't know what else it says, but truth.
Love is truth, and truth is petty.
There you go. Yeah, gotcha. And yeah, we'll get back around, man. I always enjoy it. I want to see, we got a special guest. If Steph, are you available to speak? Have you heard what the topic is, or are you just sliding in? You need to catch up.
I just came in on the tail end of that gentleman's statements. I'm assuming you are speaking in reference to Brittany Griner's situation, but I don't know the particular topic.
Yeah. So I'll give a quick recap and let you process a little bit because you missed some really good clips at the beginning of the show that would have better contextualized what I'm getting at. But the whole topic tonight is just the second part of our discussion on why does fame and fortune equal worth and validation. So I played some clips, one of them being about Brittany Griner and what her head coach said about if it was LeBron, he would be home by now. I think that's a lot of conjecture there, and it's glossing over a whole lot of things that could be would, could, and if, coulds, and buts. But also keep in mind the topic is about why fame and fortune afford worth and validation. So it's not just about unpacking those particulars. It's about why that's even worthy of our attention and why people that have fame and fortune are worthy of some high level of validation and consideration. And I also played a clip of Macy Gray making comments about what she thought it was to be a woman versus what transsexuals consider themselves, how they consider themselves to be women, and how they got into a snowball effect. But an actual transsexual who's a celebrity flame came out in support of her comments, but yet and still Macy Gray apologizing, which I think she has to because she has an album coming out. They're celebrities. They make a living in the public domain. So she had to make that right. So, you know, her album sells, do whatever they might do because I don't know how popular she is these days. But anyway, process all of that. I'll come to Greg and Julia. Do you have any takes on what we're discussing? Because I know you guys missed last week, but I think you get the general consensus. It's just where are we getting this notion of providing this level of validation and worth to people who just happen to have fame and fortune. And some of that is purely luck. It's not always, and I'm not, Jay, you can come back and comment. I'm not talking, it's not always hard work. Sometimes you just inherit it. Sometimes you just be in the right place at the right time. And I think Sting, the musician, Sting, who's the celebrated musician, said it best. He said, I just got lucky. He literally, when they asked about his fame and how much of a musical figure, superstar he is, he said, I just got lucky. He does not discount the ability to just fall into a good situation. Doesn't minimize anything, but he doesn't discount it. Greg and Julia, any takes on the topic tonight, or did you just step into an alligator pit? And, you know, I know you can dodge them, Julia. You know what Charleston's like, so.
Well, great comments from Lisa and Jay Dwayne. You know, I think I really resonated with what Lisa said with where are our minds? I mean, we need to think about who these people are and what they're saying, and not just take it at its word because of who they are, and because they're famous. And on the other hand, when we are famous, and by the way, we're big Sting fans, so when someone is famous or has that stature, then there's a responsibility, like Kobe Bryant, and you know, there's some celebrities that have taken it responsibly with what they say and what they put out there. And the other thing is with celebrity, I think that Felton, you made the point so beautifully that if they're trying to sell a book or an album or win an election, you know, we don't know what they're going to say. And Jay Dwayne kind of alluded to it. It's complicated. There's so much to it. So I'll pass it there. But good comments. Great conversation.
Yeah. Great to be back. And thank you for the warm welcome, Felton. I've often heard it said that high praise is we love to see you come and we hate to see you go. And you made us feel welcome. Thank you. And welcome, Merrill. He's just joining. Hello there, sir. Lisa, I wrote down something that you said. I wrote it down as we were talking, and then you said it. So, girl, we're in the same club. Not all that glitters is gold. And we're charged with discrimination, discernment, and it's up to us to make those choices. Julie and I love to look for wisdom, and we love to look for the gold, no matter where it is. And we often find it with the salt of the earth type. And they don't have a spotlight, but gosh, when you see it, it just warms the heart. It'll carry you the whole day. That's all.
One thing I'll say about the LeBron James comment, based on the political atmosphere, they might have even kept him to make a bigger statement. So
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. All of that's on the table if we start doing hypotheticals. All of that's on the table. I don't want to do hypotheticals. I want to talk about what's actually taking place and figure out how we address it and get her home, as opposed to the conjecture. That's problematic. Wow, Mayor, glad you made it. I said, man, this is a block that's missing because, bro, we had a really good conversation last week. I don't know if you've caught any of what we've done, and I just recapped Steph, but you know where we were last week. This week I played a clip of the head coach of Brittany Griner's WNBA team making a statement about if it was LeBron, she'd be home by now. I thought that was just too much conjecture and not fair statement at all. Played a clip from Macy Gray and her comments concerning LGBTQ and being a woman, born a woman, and then LGBTQ comedian Flame Monroe, who said that Macy Gray was absolutely correct. Yet we still see Macy Gray apologizing because she's got an album coming out, more so than anything, I think. But she's got an album coming out, and she says, if you're LGBTQ, you're a hero. Hero is a term we throw around too loosely, period. I'm a humanist. If you're a human being, you're a human being. But hero can't be applied to just groups of people randomly, because some of that's individual acts. And, I don't believe every police officer is a hero. I've been saying that throughout my political process, and saying, hey, man, you don't take a job and instantly become a hero. That's something you earn through acts. So I mean that across the board as a humanist. So Meryl, keep massaging what I just gave you around up here for a moment. I'm going to go to Steph, then I'm going to Bob, then I'm coming to you, Meryl. So Steph, are you ready to have a couple of moments of say in the matter?
Sure, I'll punch in. As far as celebrity and status goes, I think that's human nature. Not only human nature, the nature of animals. We are animals. If you look in any type of animal that is community based, there is a hierarchy always. So we look for leaders as animals, and I think celebrity is nothing but pulling on those instincts to look for leadership, to look up to something that is bigger than what you are. When I watch basketball players play, I watch them because they are doing things that I can't do. I would not waste my time watching somebody do something that I could do myself. I want to see somebody jump 12 feet in the air and slam a basketball. Why? Because I can't. Now, I'm a pretty good checkers player, but I'm not going to sit there and watch somebody else play checkers. You see what I'm saying? You look up to people that can do things that you can't. Singers, entertainers, you are entertained. So that's why, those people have that status. In reference to Brittany Griner, I think there's been a lot said and a lot of confusion. One, I do think that she had what she had, if she had it. That's saying a lot. Because she thought that she could get away with it if she really did have that. I pointed out to somebody today, if cops in America can be corrupt, what do you think they're going to do in Russia? So I can't even
guilty.
judge.
I just want to get that out there, Steph. She did plead guilty today.
Yeah. I've seen people in America plead guilty to things just to take the charge. So I'm just going to put that out there. We really don't know until she gets home and starts talking for herself. Right now, she's surviving. She's in survival mode. So let's, kind of keep that on the board. Now, if she did do it, she thought she could get away with it, and probably because she was a celebrity. But at the end of the day, I've seen several statements made as to she should have known better. She was in Russia. She should have known better. Let's not get it confused. She is a political prisoner. Okay. There have been people in Russia who've done things like that. Russia is running guns and dope just like every other country. and people have gotten caught with things that are worse and not have the book thrown at them. She's a political prisoner. She's being held the way she is to a higher standard than most people are. She's not the first person with a vape pen to get caught in Russia. And I would like to see other cases of people getting what they're talking about, giving her 10 years for a vape pen. Show me those other cases, and then I might say maybe she's not a political prisoner. That's how they do. But in my eyes, they are throwing the book at her to make a statement which makes her a political prisoner. In terms of the Macy Gray thing, I can't speak to that because I am not a woman, nor am I transgender, so I'll let them work that out. I feel that when it comes to identity and things, I would lean towards the group that somebody's saying that they are because they know more about that. So if a woman is saying you're not a woman, I can't really speak to that because I'm not a woman. That's not my place. That's not my body. If I'm laying with a pack of lions and I say, hey, I'm a lion, and they eat me, everybody's going to say, fool, you wasn't a lion, because the lions made that decision. So I can't really speak to transgenders or women for transgenders, but I will listen to what both sides have to say.
Amen. Well stated. I'll say you and Jay can share his shirt to a certain degree because she pleaded guilty. That's all we have to go off of, and that's the actual thing. Hey, mute your phone mic for me, Steph. Thank you. So we have that to go off of. Not saying that we don't take into account all of the things that we know could be on the table. I totally agree with almost everything you said, but there is the importance of. She said she made a mistake. She was packing fast, and that happened to make it into her luggage. I hope that those are the actual things that are the case, because something had to take place for this level of attention to get there. And you're right. Part of the reason I give credence to the political prisoner argument is because we put so much emphasis and attention on fame. So it's almost, it has to be a political prisoner moment. So but great observations. The latter thing about the comment about animals, I know you, bro, you definitely, kept small zoos at one time with all of your pets. But I will say human beings have this thing called reason that separates us. So that's what's on this table that we're discussing about why we're obsessed with fame and fortune. It's not just that hierarchical thing or that peacock that's got the pretty feathers that wins the contest or whatever. It's literally that we have the ability to process and understand what may or may not be to our benefit as a complete and total community. Reason is what separates us from the animals. I'll come back to you, Steph, because I'm gonna go back around the room. I think Meryl and Bob are the last people up. I'm gonna hit Bob. Meryl, you get to make a comment, and I'm gonna ask one of my questions tonight. So y'all, we're gonna have to get back around the space. So Bob, go ahead and give your observations. I'm gonna get one of my questions out though.
Okay, quickly, Meryl, thank you for your call this afternoon. Greatly appreciated. To this topic, there's so much to say about all of this, and it's like after all this conversation, where do I get to start? And there's a whole lot of talking out of both sides of your mouth and some of this stuff. The Brittany Griner thing. 1 minute you're talking about LeBron James. The other minute you're talking about she's somebody's daughter, she's somebody's sister, she's somebody's this. Well, everybody is that. So are we talking about what she should get because she's a celebrity? Or are we talking about what she should get because she's a human being? Or are we talking about what she should get because what are we really talking about? I mean, when you throw all of that stuff out there in the same argument, what's your argument? I don't even know what the argument is. You do have an obligation when you go somewhere to understand what their rules are and abide by them. And you can get stuck. I'm going out of the country later this summer. I'm concerned about those things. I've got those questions in my mind. I'm doing my homework. I'm making sure that I've got the resources where I need to have the resources. I'm making sure I've got a strategy, a plan, an exit strategy if something goes south, whatnot. But it's on me. It's not on the government. It's on me. And not because I'm special, because I'm a traveler going to some other country that has its own rules that aren't familiar to me. So, I also think we are a culture where we leverage, where we have come to leverage every argument that we can argue to get our way. So if being gay can play into it, if being black can play into it, if being lesbian can play into it, being tall can play into it, being short can play into it, whatever can play into it, we are very comfortable leveraging all of those things to argue in favor of getting our way. So the Macy thing, you know, again, my understanding is that transgender people already self-identify as the other gender, which is why they go through the process of change. So there's that. I feel like I'm a guy. I'm biologically not a guy. So I want to align my parts with the identity that I feel. But if I'm physically female, how do I even know what biological guy, what guy is? Well, that's the whole argument, right? It's that I think I identify as a guy, or I identify as a woman, and I've got the parts that don't match. So I'm matching my physical self up. That's completely contrary to what she was saying and what she was saying. But then here's my issue with what she was saying, or what she followed up with. She followed up with, I didn't mean to hurt people's feelings. I didn't mean to make people mad. I didn't mean to people would be mad at me. Why doesn't she follow up with, let me further explain why I say what I'm saying, where I'm coming from, which makes it seem to me like it's all BS. It's simply a popularity contest, not rooted in thought, reasonable logic. It's rooted in something else. Popularity. I don't want to risk my popularity. I'm sorry that it happened. Blah, blah, blah. It's not rooted in. And then to the issue of celebrity, you know, we teach our infants to do things that we clap about. We teach our infants to do things that we go, oh, good job, good job. We teach, and I'm not saying that's right or wrong, I'm just making the comment, that that's what we teach from the moment our children are born. It's about validating them and what they're doing with applause and praise and clap. How could they not grow up thinking that popularity and validation, external validation, matters a whole lot? And if it does, then how do you grow up without thinking that these people that have all this validation don't have legitimate thoughts that we should emulate? The fact of the matter is, to Steph's comment, the guy that can put the ball in and whatnot, that says nothing about how better able he is to consider something that's not basketball. And yet we extend the perception. He's good at this, so we're going to listen to him for all these things differently than we listen to other people. He's a good basketball player. Listen to him for basketball. He has no better opinion on anything else necessarily than anybody else. But we
back to last week, Bob. You know, yeah. I'm not calling the plumber to fix my car. So that's right. That's level of expertise afforded to everyone.
That's right. But we elevate it. We elevate it, and we do all that. And I think it goes to something Lisa said very early, because we don't have the confidence in ourselves. We don't have the belief in ourselves. And so, oh, here's a popular person that's saying these things. sounds right. I can go along with that. Let's adopt that. Well, why don't we teach our children to not please us, but think for themselves and use their talents and their skills in ways that really are constructive for them as individual human beings. We don't do that. And I think that that's what we need to do. We need to teach them that they have worth and value because they can breathe and think and evaluate and consider, and their thoughts and evaluations and considerations are as valuable, and that exercise on their part is really what they need to be doing, not thinking about pleasing us.
Absolutely. So I'll say this because I feel like going around the space, this question has been somewhat answered, and that's a lot of the energy that I think you were giving it. But I'm going to come with two questions after Meryl speaks that will take us out of here. So what, in your opinion, does America's obsession with fame and fortune reflect? I think that question has been answered. It reflects our values are a bit askew. I think that question was answered without me asking it. So I appreciate that, guys, but that's what I get for dealing with such brilliant people. Meryl, any comments you want to make? And then I'm going to stay with you, ask you two questions. You pick one, and we'll go around. We're going to run around the space because, we're already over time. But
Right on time.
Go ahead, Meryl.
All right, yeah. Well, I didn't get a chance, and good to see everybody. Sorry, I was a little late. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the basic grade thing or kind of get the full context what you guys are talking about. But from what you guys were talking about, I think I'll say a few things. First thing, I think a lot of people have and I'm guilty of this too, an inflated sense of what value your lived experience has. And I think you have to find ways to check that. Like your sensibilities, the people who are around you, those things resonate with you, then they typically make sense. And celebrities sometimes live in these echo chambers where people agree with them, and so like they continue to have that overinflated sense of their lived experience and take moments to share thoughts, and where people are paying attention to them to share something. Um, uh, and then I also think about just in general about how we're very quick, celebrities and just folks individually, like real quick to kind of share your position on something. People like to give a hot take, whether people ask for it or not. And the thing that we struggle with, I know, and I do, I'm still working on this, is when somebody shares their hot take, is to kind of dig to see like what's the interest that created the position, which takes time and it's hard to do, so people don't do it. And Bob, you made a really good point about like the way that people are socialized now. It is like camera in your face. You get all these great endorphins and great feelings from the likes and people liking things we post on social media. So like if you see somebody who has garnered a whole lot of acclaim, and you feel like they have, they should be listened to more. I don't mind celebrities sharing their hot takes or their opinions, whether they're founded or not. I just, like I said last week, I just hope that people would have the discipline of saying, this is my view or the views of the people around me, and not try to speak for swords of people. The last thing I'll do is talk about the in particular Brittany Griner, because I've had conversations about this Brittany Griner thing. I do understand the points that people make. I mean, there is historical evidence that policies and the way that things operate in this country have benefited folks, that identify as white, or if you identify as a man, if you're Christian or you're straight, like like America works in those four categories for you in a certain way, and I get it. But in Brittany Griner's case, I think people take how things would happen in this country and map it over to everywhere else. And in that particular country, in Russia, would happen to her. She made a mistake. Looks like she copped to it. But I think folks have to kind of understand, it doesn't matter who the person was. If there was somebody that was notable, that the Russian government could hold as a political prisoner, they would do it and do the exact same thing. And the United States would still have the same hesitancy to move fast, because then the message would be, all you have to do is hold an American, and then you have, the White House at your beck and call, and that just can't happen. So you have to be really sensitive to that. And I don't think people really understand the big picture, that Russia is not America, and so it's the overinflated sense of your lived experience, and you kind of map it over. So,
man, yeah, those are the things that I think could be better put into this situation and talked about than the ones that I view as conjecture. I think the better conversation has to take into account our relationship with Russia right now, because I'm fairly certain if this happened in Britain, she would be home. I mean, that's a whole different type of relationship that matters right now. So, but I can say that and say it's not true either. So, I think truth has some value. Let me ask you 2 questions, Meryl. Give me your answer to one really quickly, and we're gonna go around the space. And I'm coming to Gregory and Julia next, and we're gonna get out of here. So, 2 questions. Just pick one. Who's your favorite celebrity? Do you value their opinion on matters that are important to you? Or the celebrity free you from class and race?
The second one, it does not. 100%, it does not. And O.J. Simpson is a testament to that.
Ooh, I don't know. I'm not black. I'm OJ. Let me see. Greg and Julia. So, who's your favorite celebrity? Do you value their opinion on matters that are important to you? Does celebrity free you from class and race? So I got 2 of you. You guys can take one question and the other, or you guys can take the same question, and I can repeat them if you need me to.
I think the only question for me is the one about the favorite celebrity. That's easy. We both love John Baptiste,
Okay.
wonderful musician, and I've heard him speak on matters of spirit and spirituality, and that will knock your socks off. And the life that he's living with his wife, who is terminal cancer patient, and the beauty that they're creating in that relationship is awesome. So that was easy.
Perfect.
Good.
I appreciate that. Julia, you have one the same or something different?
I would agree with John Baptiste. Love Desmond Tutu. Also, he was a hero. I do want to say one thing that I think what Bob and Meryl reiterated. I think so much of this goes back to parenting and what we are teaching our children. When we clap about every single thing they do, we get them addicted to the spotlight. And what Meryl said about the likes and the not likes, we're creating this lure towards glitz and glamour, like Lisa said. Thank you. This was a great conversation. Love seeing
you guys. I know you have to run, so have a wonderful night, and always a pleasure. Y'all take care.
Tell your mama happy birthday.
Will do. Take care.
Good night.
Good night.
All right, Steph, I'm coming to you now. Who's your favorite celebrity? Do you value their opinion on matters that are important to you? Or does celebrity free you from class and race? Pick.
My favorite celebrities, and I judge celebrities on being my favorites if I've had an interaction with them or not. Because I often have noticed anytime you have heroes that are imaginary, you are at the mercy of what they do in their lives before they let you down. And Meryl can also attest to that. We both went to UNC and what I call the golden era. The athletes that came out of UNC, Vince Carter, Marion Jones, Rasheed Wallace, all Hall of Fame level athletes. We had the opportunity to know them before they were worldwide, and we know that they are regular people. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of skews my view on celebrity when I realize that they're regular people. So my favorites are the ones who I have kind of looked up to and I've met in person. One being Ric Flair. I met him and he was nowhere like the character that he portrays when I met him. He was extremely nice to me. And the second one, Felton, you can attest to because you were there when I met him, DMX. He acted like we knew him, you know, like, so those would be my favorite celebrities. But I'm very careful on saying that somebody is somebody that somebody should look up to just because they're a celebrity. And quick story, my favorite basketball player is Shammond Williams. And a lot of people are like, why would you pick Shammond? It was because I saw him work from coming in as a bench player to making it to the NBA. My little brother, Michael, who was in middle school when I was in high school, would always ask me to get Shammond's autograph because he knew I knew him. And I always told him no. And it might sound like I was being a jerk. And I told him no because I'm your brother and you're going to look up to me before you look up to anybody. Because I don't know what Shammond might get out here and do, but I know I'm not going to let you down. So that's my whole take on celebrity and things of that nature. So be your own celebrity. That's what I tell people.
My man, that's a good parenting trait. So we got a good parent on the line here that is gonna reflect those values that Bob and Julia and Greg and Lisa and everybody else was on board with. It starts at home. Good stuff, man. Jay, coming to you. The celebrity free you from class and race, or who's your favorite celebrity, and do you value their opinion on matters that are important to you?
Whew, my favorite, it goes back and forth, but I think my constant favorite, top two, goes between Saul Williams and Whoopi Goldberg. And I think one of the things that, and it happened when Meryl was saying this, one minute we'll say we're not monolithic, but at the same time, we'll treat everything as if we are. When I speak of my lived experiences, I speak of all of me. Like nobody's on here is a fat man who's in their 40s. The life that I lived as a fat man, no, for real. And people and then people shunning you like, don't call you fat. Don't say this. Like, no, I'm fat. I'm morbidly obese. It's on my record. That doesn't mean I have poor self-esteem. That doesn't mean I'm not handsome. That doesn't mean I'm not intelligent. But when I speak, you're getting all the experiences I went through because it pisses me off when people tell me not to call myself fat. I'm fat. I can call myself fat. Would you like morbidly obese? Don't call yourself obese. You're big bone. My bone is the same size as yours, but it's meat around it. And this ties into why I love Whoopi Goldberg, because she lived her whole life with the audacity to just be her. Shaved off her eyebrows so she wouldn't be defined by that. Doesn't wear a bra because it's not comfortable for her. She was called ugly and she still rose. She was called she was not qualified for things, and she literally changed the way we do comedy, the way we do a whole bunch of things, and the woman really can act. But yet we look for a reason to devalue her even to this day, and she keep rising above it. And that's why I love, so yes, I respect her political view. Do I agree with every single thing she says? No, but she always make me think about something differently. And that's what I can respect. I can respect a person that causes me to think more than a person that can just make me say yes all the time.
Well said, man. I mean, she, what is the EGOT? She won every award you can win at the highest level of performing, and that is something to be recognized for being capable of doing something that's worthy of our attention. I'm not a big fan of you, but that ain't got nothing to do with Whoopi. That's just, my gosh, man. That's just these shows that come on in the daytime. What the world? Anyway.
Okay, she a fan of The View.
Bob, coming to you, coming to Lisa, and we're going to get out of here, man. Does celebrity free you from class and race? Or who's your favorite celebrity, and do you value their opinion on matters important to you?
Okay, so since we're on a show, and since you're the guy that's running the show, you're my favorite celebrity, and I do trust you. And yes, it completely, there is no class or race stuff going on. So all that is good. All that is good. To Steph's point, I can't comment. I don't have a favorite celebrity short of you because I don't know them well enough. And I can't. I'm just not going to have one. If I were to, if the celebrity that I know, that I have known best, that I would say I have great regard for would be Maya Angelou. And because the reason I say that is because I did know her, and I was with her a good bit, and I feel like the woman that I knew was the woman that was, and I valued that tremendously. But I'm not going to value a celebrity. I'm not going to. I can value certain messages of certain people, but I can't value the person over another person without knowing the person. So I come back to you. Yeah, we do it all.
Appreciate that, man. That means a lot, man. I appreciate someone thinking I'm worthy of that status, although I remove myself quickly from any levels of notoriety that might be put me in a corner or a box. That's not the life I'm gonna live. To just really put the exclamation point on Stefan's comment about DMX, the guy was so humble. Meeting two strangers, it was definitely a moment that you got to experience a guy at the height of his fame and popularity, the literal height of it, and feel like you're meeting somebody that's a struggling artist.
Jay Dwayne, I like Whoopi a lot too. I just don't know her, so I can't. I like
him. I was having an emotional moment about DMX. DMX,
he don't respect you, Phil.
DMX is gone, man. Whoopi's still here. We still got Whoopi. Let me finish. Let me finish. It's a thug tier, man. It's a thug tier. But no, and Whoopi, yeah, she's tremendous. I'll give one other, since we're doing this, and I didn't think I would do it. At least I'm coming right to you. Clark Peters, who's a oh gosh, man, what is this? Who took over my screen? So Clark Peters, who's a tremendous actor who played in a show called The Wire, and he was actually Portia's cousin. Talked to him quite a few times on the phone, been a super solid guy in the way that I've got to know him. He provided me with some content for my thesis, which I'll probably translate into my dissertation, being a Black actor that left America and worked overseas, but another humble, good-spirited human being. So that's a good way to look at this question, Steph. How do you really know the person? They gonna wear that celebrity, but if you get to know them, you get to put them in a different echelon of appreciation. Lisa, you ready to take us home? Do I need to read the question again? Are you good?
I'm good, I think, because my answer, and I think your question was an or question, but it's the same person for me. And his name is Dwayne Wickham. And he was a professor of mine at A&T, and he just happens to be a world famous journalist. And he just opened up a lens of opportunity to me that I otherwise would have never got the opportunity to experience. So he wrote an autobiography called Wood Home, and it was about his experience as a child growing up in Baltimore. So I got an intimate view into his childhood in poverty, and then as his student, people watched him in his surrounding, in his element as a journalist, and he exposed me to Kwame Mfume, Mary Frances Berry, and like these people who were just people with him, right, and to him. And then some of the little nuggets he would just drop with being who he was, it helped me see what was possible without us even having to have some in-depth conversation. And one thing he said, excuse me, I don't know which celebrity was falling apart at that moment, but he said, I always remember that Black people will succeed as individuals, but fail as a race. So if one person falls, the whole race gets thrown under the bus. But when one Black person succeeds, it's still just that one Black person. And that's just a quote that I never forgot of his. And And although we've fallen out of contact, his impact on my life. So even the nonprofit that I operate, I got to see him operate a nonprofit doing exactly what he loves to do, which is playing golf is what he loved to do. Raising money for this nonprofit, doing what he loved to do, play golf, right? And then, doing some work at the same time. So what he exposed me to, and he just happened to be a celebrity. So April Ryan, and I was in rooms with people I could not have imagined being able to glean their lives. So I'm ever thankful for that experience.
Awesome. That's really a good way to leave this space in place, because again, this was not to prioritize any discussion or argument around LGBTQ or anything political. This is truly just trying to unpack our enamored views of celebrity and why we put so much validity in, and why we give so much attention to those opinions. But to personalize it, as most of you did, makes this that much more of a great moment, and what's been a show filled with them. So I so appreciate you guys spending the time and sharing the space, and good leave there, Lisa. That's awesome. That mentorship with someone like that is profound. So thank you all for being here, Danya. Appreciate what you do. You do it well, man. And hey, well, let's keep it going. I don't think we quite finished this conversation, but such is the nature of the best times that you talk. You don't want them to stop. So,
can we just do layers next time?
Just hey, look.
Because if you're gonna talk about fame, it's so much in that. I think we need to break it down.
I need to have a timer too, right? I need like a real timer, like a hard set. But I don't want to restrict anything, man. I like to let it flow. But I definitely agree. We need to do something that gets everything touched that we want to touch in some of these topics, man. We got a lot to unpack here. I think you'll come back, Jay, because I think next week will be an even better one. I'm gonna not an even better one. I don't ever try to top these shows. They're just naturally good. So they all sitting on the top shelf right now. So yeah, I think it'll be a good conversation. It'll be about naming stuff. We need to get out of that practice. Everybody's got flaws. So I know a couple people in this space have a lot to say about that topic. So we'll get to it. Everyone have a wonderful night. Take care. Good to see people. Good to hear from you, Steph. Glad you can make it. Y'all have a wonderful night. Take care.
Good to see y'all. Take care.